Hello, welcome to class. If you're watching this as a recording, you can skip ahead 4 or 5 minutes. Otherwise, I'm gonna get set up. I have props. I use my pillows, blankets, blocks. You might want to bolster if you have one. Maybe roll up towel if you don't. Just finding whatever props you want to use. You might hear my air conditioner in the background. It's pretty loud. My assistant may join us. He might not. And this is an old building, so you might hear some creaking. Excuse me. If you have any requests for this class, you can type them into the chat. Otherwise, it's going to be similar to most of the rest of the classes. Yoga. Do yoga. My assistant, he has enjoyed these past few months doing the yoga, watching the yoga, and lying on the yoga mat. Excuse me. Yep, so about 2 minutes. Well, if you're already set up, you can try get settled in a little bit before we start. Finding a comfortable seated position. Can even be in a chair or against a wall. Maybe sitting on something, lifting the hips up just a little bit. I'm just focusing on the breath. Noticing any sounds that might come up in your space while you're practicing. You ready to do yoga? Are you ready to do yoga? Ready for yoga? You ready for yoga? Well, it's just about 5 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. Please don't touch me. Finding a comfortable seated position. I'm sitting on a pillow, maybe sitting on a blanket or pillow, rolled up towel or a block, lifting the hips up a little bit. Maybe wiggling the hips to settle in. All right, engage our core gently, protecting our lower back. Maybe give the shoulders a roll, opening up the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together, down and back. Trying to keep the chest open throughout this practice also. Maybe taking the fingertips and pushing that chin back to try to line up the ears with the shoulders. And lengthening the spine, lifting the crown of the head towards the ceiling. So welcome to Operation Remote Resilience. My name is Jacquelynne. I'm a certified Warriors at Ease teacher. And we're going to come to focus on our breath. And today is Memorial Day. So if you would like to set an intention for this class, or maybe dedicate this class to somebody you know, or just anybody, remembering why we have this day. Maybe taking a few breaths here, closing the eyes, or just softening the gaze. Maybe saying a quiet thank you, either out loud or in your head, to somebody specific if you know them, or just saying thank you if not. And trying to keep this feeling of gratitude throughout this practice. Keeping this posture here. Continuing to lift the crown of the head and grounding through the sits bones. Maybe wiggling the hips to release any tension. Inhale, maybe lifting just a little bit higher. Taking an exhale, dropping the right ear to the right shoulder. Stretching the left side of the neck. Maybe reaching those fingertips down and out. You have the option to hold here and just breathe and notice where you're feeling the stretch. Otherwise, you can take an inhale, turning the chin up towards the ceiling. And exhale, bringing the chin down to face that collarbone. You have the option, again, to move through this or maybe hold in one of these stretches. If you notice you're holding tension somewhere, maybe pausing in one spot to help release it. All while keeping our core engaged and our chest is still open. On the next inhale, bringing the chin back to face forward and bringing the neck back to neutral. And taking an exhale, dropping the left ear to the left shoulder. Reaching those fingertips down and out. Getting a little bit of a deeper stretch. Again, you have the option to hold here. Maybe take an inhale, turn the chin up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring the chin down to face that collarbone. You can cycle through this or maybe hold in one spot that needs a little more attention. Maybe noticing how this side feels a little bit different than the other side. Or maybe noticing that they're similar. Just noticing and not judging. My assistant is here. On the next inhale, bring the chin back to face forward and bring the neck back to a neutral position. Taking an exhale and inhale, squeezing the arms up overhead, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. And exhale, bringing the arms back down. Inhale up. This time maybe rotating the wrists in one direction on the way up. And exhale, rotating the opposite direction on the way down. And going through this a few times on your own breath, trying to keep the shoulders down and away from the ears. Our core is still engaged here, trying to keep those ears in line with the shoulders. Whenever you're ready, bring the hands back down to the legs. Taking a quick pause here. And we're going to come to our mats if you're not already there. Maybe having a blanket for under the knees. Our knees are about hip width apart. We're pressing into the tops of the feet, the shins, and the knees. We're going to come down to our hands. Our hands are about shoulder width apart, directly under our shoulders. And our shoulders are still pulling down and back. Our core is still engaged, so we have a flat back here. We're going to take an inhale, pulling the crown of the head towards the front of the mat and the hips towards the back, lengthening the spine. And exhale. On the next inhale, dropping the belly, tilting the hips up and squeezing those shoulder blades together. Coming to cow. And exhale, arching the back, separating the shoulder blades and tucking the tailbone. And cycling through this on your own breath. Inhale, coming into cow. And exhale, tucking the tailbone, coming into cat. We're warming up the spine here. Very slowly and gently. And on the next inhale, we're going to come back to a neutral spine. Squeezing the shoulder blades together. The neck is nice and long. And we're going to exhale. Start to slowly pull those hips back towards the heels. And inhale, coming up to all fours. Exhale, pulling the hips back, maybe a little bit farther this time. Feeling a stretch in the low back. Inhaling up. And exhale, pulling the hips back even more if you can. Inhale, coming back up to all fours. And exhale, this time we're going to come into our child's pose. If you would like, maybe grabbing a pillow for between the hips and the heels. Maybe grabbing a block to place under the forehead. Exhale, pulling all the way back as far as you can, or as it's comfortable for you to do right now. We're going to stay in this pose for a few breaths, so maybe taking a wide-legged child's pose as an option. Bringing the knees to the outside edges of the mat, and pulling the hips back towards the heels. For a more active child's pose, you can pull those fingertips forward, reaching with those arms, keeping the elbows straight. Or you can drop the elbows down to the mat for a more relaxed child's pose. You can have a pillow or maybe a block to support the head while we take a few breaths here. Feeling the rib cage expanding in all directions on the inhale and relaxing on the exhale. If you're in a wide-legged child's pose, bringing those knees back to about hip width apart. And taking an inhale, coming back up to all fours. Maybe keeping those blocks nearby if you'd like some balance support. We're going to bring our left leg forward. Taking an inhale, bringing the hands to the hips, opening up the chest. Keeping the same upper body posture we started class with. And gently pushing those hips forward. And exhale. Gently pushing those hips back. Folding over that front leg. Inhaling up. Keeping that core engaged. We're not dropping our belly to go farther down. We're keeping our core engaged, so it might not look like you're moving, but that's fine as long as you feel a gentle stretch here. And exhale, folding over that front leg, keeping those shoulders squeezing together. Inhale, coming up, keeping the ears in line with the shoulders, gently pushing those hips forward. And exhale, folding over the front leg. That knee can be bent or straight, whatever is comfortable for you. And inhaling up. This time we're going to hold for a few breaths. We are pressing in through the top of this back foot and the shin and the knee. And the sole and toes of the front foot. This is still an active pose. Our core is still engaged. Our shoulders are squeezing together, opening up the chest. And the ears are in line with the shoulders. A nice long neck. Breathing here. That is my assistant grabbing a drink. And exhale, very gently start to push the hips back just to release the stretch. And then start to fold forward over this front leg. Maybe walking the toes forward if you need some more space. This front leg can be bent or straight. The toes can be pointed or flexed. We're still trying to keep our chest open with a flat back. So we keep the stretch in the back of this front leg here. And we're breathing here. Our ears are still in line with our shoulders. And on the next inhale, gently come up slowly, releasing that stretch. And coming back to meet the other leg to our modified mountain pose. Our tailbone is tucked. Our belly is not dropping forward. We got a tucked tailbone. Our core is still engaged. Our chest is open. Our neck is long. Our fingertips are pulling down. Palms are either facing forward or in. Nice long spine here. You can stay here for a few breaths, or if you'd like, pulling those hips back towards the heels, coming into a hero pose. Again, our top half of our body is still in the same posture as it would be if we were in our modified mountain pose. Maybe softening the gaze or closing the eyes here. Just taking a few breaths. Maybe doing a quick check-in. Maybe doing a quick body scan. Noticing the breath. Feeling the ribcage expanding on the inhale. Relaxing on the exhale. If you're in hero's pose, we're going to come back up to our modified mountain pose and switch sides. Bring our right leg forward. Inhale, bringing the hands to the hips, opening up the chest and pushing those hips forward. And exhale, gently pushing those hips back towards the heels. Inhale, coming up. Our core is still engaged. We're keeping our back straight. We're not dropping the belly here. We're tucking the tailbone. And exhale, folding. This front leg can be bent or straight. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you. Inhaling up. Squeezing those shoulder blades together. Ears are in line with the shoulders. And exhale, folding over the front leg, keeping the chest open as we fold. Inhale, coming back up. Again, gently pushing those hips forward. We're going to hold here for a few breaths. Keeping the core engaged. The chest is open. The neck is long. We're pressing in through the top of the back foot, that back shin, and the back knee. And grounding the front leg through the sole of the foot and the toes. Remembering to breathe here. Now on the next exhale, gently push those hips back to release that stretch. And then start to push the hips back a bit more. Just stretch the back of this front leg. We're keeping our same upper body posture, a straight back. Our core is engaged, our chest is open, and our ears are in line with the shoulders. This front leg can be bent or straight. The toes can be pointed or flexed. Whatever you need this afternoon. Remembering to breathe here. On the next inhale, very slowly coming back up. Bringing that front leg back to make the back leg coming back into our modified mountain pose. Again, either staying here for a few breaths or pulling the hips back into our hero's pose. Keeping the upper body posture with the core engaged, the chest open, a long neck, reaching the crown of the head towards the ceiling. Maybe softening the gaze or closing the eyes here. Going through another check-in. Maybe noticing the pace of the breath, the depth of the breath, body temperature. Maybe doing a quick recall and noticing which side maybe felt more tension, which muscles felt a little more tension. Maybe they were the same on both sides, maybe a little bit different. Not judging, we're just noticing and acknowledging those differences. And feeling the rib cage expanding on the inhale. Relaxing on the exhale. And whenever you're ready, we're going to come to lying on our back. And after this, we're going to come into our final relaxation. So if you have any props that you need that are not nearby, you can go ahead and grab those while we transition to our supine twist. Lying on our back here. Arms are either up in a T or cactus arms. We're bringing the feet up about 90 degrees. Take an inhale here, engaging that core. And exhale, slowly lower the legs to the right side. Inhale, coming back to center. And exhale, slowly lowering to the left. Inhaling center. Exhaling right. Inhaling center. Exhaling left. Inhaling center. Exhaling right. Inhaling center. Exhaling left. Inhaling, center. Exhaling, right. We're gonna hold this pose for a few breaths, trying to keep the hips stacked. So if your shoulder comes off the ground, that's fine. Just finding your way to relax into this pose. Maybe placing a hand on the top knee. You're reaching the arm out or up. You're just making this your pose. And breathing here. On the next inhale, slowly bring those knees back to center and hold here for a full round of breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. And on the next exhale, slowly lowering the knees to the left side. Again, trying to keep those hips stacked on top of each other. So if your shoulder comes off the ground, that's fine. Again, finding a way to make this pose yours. Something you can hold. You can always change it if it gets uncomfortable. Breathing here. On the next inhale, bringing the knees back to center. Maybe giving yourself a hug, rocking from side to side. Release the lower back. Taking your time, stretching all the way out. From here, we're going to clench all of our muscles, squeezing the toes and the feet, the calves, shins, quads, hamstrings, the hips, the core, the back, the shoulders, the arms, the hands, making a funny face, lifting everything up, squeezing, 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 squeezing the face. One more breath, breathe, breathe, breathe. And exhale, gently lower your whole body down to the ground, down to your mat. And very gently and slowly start to gather your props together for whatever your final relaxation looks like. Maybe you have a blanket covering you. Maybe you have a pillow or blanket or rolled up towel, bolster under the knees. Relaxing that lower back. Maybe you've got a pillow or a blanket under the head. And taking a few breaths here. Get settled in. I'm going to walk you through a quick mental body scan. Then a few breaths before the end of class. And if you're in your own space and you have the time, you are more than welcome to stay here. Otherwise, I will let you know when it is time. So we're going to start with the toes, bringing awareness to the toes. If you find any tension in your toes, taking an inhale, focusing your attention on the toes, exhale, releasing, moving up to the feet, Releasing any tension you find in the feet. The ankles. Releasing any tension in the ankles. Moving up to the shins, the calves, the knees, the quads, and the hamstrings. Both hips, the fingers, palms of the hands, the wrists, the forearms, elbows, the upper arms, the shoulders, relaxing the legs, the hips, the belly, the lower back, the chest, and the upper back, the arms, the shoulders, the neck, the jaw, the cheeks, the nose, the eyes, the ears, the eyebrows, the forehead, and finally the crown of the head. Releasing any tension you find. I will give you a few minutes. Focusing on the breath. You find yourself distracted. Maybe try counting the breath. An inhale and exhale is 1. And when you get to 10, starting over. You set an intention for this class, maybe coming back to that. Or maybe focusing on a feeling of gratitude this Memorial Day. Gently without moving, starting to deepen the breath, lengthening the inhales and exhales, bringing a little more energy back into the body. Maybe starting to wiggle the fingers and toes, moving up to the wrists and the ankles. If you'd like, reaching the arms up overhead for one last full body stretch. And then exhale, bringing the knees into the chest, giving yourself a hug, maybe rocking from side to side. And whenever you're ready, rolling onto the right side, using your arm as a pillow. And taking a few breaths here. Whenever you're ready, with the least amount of effort possible. And the head coming up very last. Use your hands to push yourself up to a comfortable seated position, maybe keeping the eyes closed or the gaze soft. We're going to take an inhale, sweeping the arms up over the head, lengthening the spine, and bringing the hands back down. Thank you all for practicing with me as part of Operation Remote Resilience. Thank you for joining me these past few months. It's been super fun. If you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat. Otherwise, if you'd like to donate, there are links below this video so we can help teachers like me continue to serve those who serve. And I believe this is the last class for this season. So thank you all for joining me. And you can continue to watch the videos that will still be on YouTube. So thank you, and happy Memorial Day weekend.